You are now listening to Effin Radio.
And welcome to F&B Radio. My name is Lindsay Collins, and I am your host. It has been a minute since I sat down just me and you. I had amazing guests. I had Fletcher Williams III. If you haven't listened to that episode, please pause this one and go back and click the episode before this, which is his episode, and listen to the entire thing. It's 2 hours long. If you've got a drive or a commute, or you've got some time on your hands this weekend, listen to that episode because it is absolutely incredible. I had so much fun talking to him. Right before that, I talked to Lizzie. Right before that, I talked to Carmen Christopher. I've had guest after guest, and it's been so fun. But I gotta say, I missed you. I miss doing this. Selfishly, I like to have one-sided conversation. No, I don't. I don't like to have one-sided conversations, but I do like to just, I don't know. It's part of my existence to get on here and sort of unburden myself of these random and pointless thoughts I have, sometimes loosely related to food and beverage. But I'm here, and I'm so happy to be here because I did take last week off, in part because I gave you a 2-hour episode the week before, so I figured you were still working on that. And the other thing was that I had my son's birthday party. He's turning 11. He already did. And now Jeremy's birthday was yesterday. So I always get hit with this double whammy of like, how do we celebrate the baby turning? And he's my firstborn. So it's always like a big birthday. Last year was 10. This year's 11. It's just like the birthdays get more and more involved each year. And then I don't know if you guys feel that, but yeah, it's not just like give them a little cake to put their face in and buy them some toys. It's like you got to like host other children. So that's a lot. Like you got to think of like what do kids want to do at a party? You have to like be ready for that many children to be in your house, which is always hard and fun. And we had an absolute blast. His thing right now is Indiana Jones. So I made a giant Indiana Jones themed birthday cake. Jeremy and I always make his cake together, and it's well, all the boys actually, but especially Jules, because he kind of started that tradition off when he was born. We stayed up all night making his cake, and we've done it every year since, and it's really sweet, and it's something that I love doing. But by the time I finish doing that, and by the time Jeremy finishes doing that, 3 days later, it's Jeremy's birthday, and I'm like, another cake? So we always run into this issue, but I've solved the problem this year. I know what to do because not only is it Jeremy's birthday, it's his 40th birthday. That's right, 40, which is easy for me to be like, what's the big deal? 40 is just a number. But I think when you're turning 40, you're like, oh, damn. Am I old? Am I still cool? But I can assure you, Jeremy is still cool. In fact, he's so cool that he's having his very first solo show at Head High next weekend, October 14th. It's a Saturday from 6 to 10. Come by because this is going to be his birthday party. I didn't do anything for his birthday party on his actual birthday, and I felt really bad about it. But then I was like, no, I'm going to make a big ass cake. It's going to be like a fucking wedding cake. It's going to be over the top in terms of size and everything, really. And you can all come and have a slice and see all the paintings and just give Jeremy some love because he honestly has been working on the show in some capacity for a year, since the beginning of the year, either in the conceptual phase, the planning phase, the sketching phase, the stretching phase, like whatever it is, all year at some point he's been thinking and or working on this show. And as someone who is still struggling to finish a long-term project, I just have so much respect because I'm sure you guys can feel this too. There's just so many ways to just find excuses not to complete a long-term project like that. But I have seen firsthand how much of himself and he's put into this show and these paintings. They're absolutely extraordinary. I think you're going to be blown away. I want to see you all there. It's going to be so fun. Head High is always a vibe. If you've ever been to a show at Fed Fi, if you've ever seen the Fed Fi, this is how many brain cells I have left. Not many. This weekend, this month, this year is taking its toll on your old friend Lindsay. I feel like I'm 40. I feel like my brain is like rapidly aging. But anyway, Head High is always so much fun. And it's going to be one for the books. Mechanical River, a.k.a. Joel Hamilton, a.k.a. Jamilton, is playing. I think he's a genius. His music is absolutely brilliant. He's incredible as a person, and he's going to be there playing music live for the show. Like I said, I'm making a big-ass birthday cake, and you're all invited. The real star of the show, though, is the paintings. You have to come see the paintings. I've been living with them, and I'm still not used to them. Every now and then I walk outside into the dining room or into the studio, and I just get, like, emotional, honestly. I have these moments after I've had my sleepy time tea at night where I'm, like, kind of, half conscious, and I'll walk by them and just be like, whoa, Jesus Christ, is this like one of the best paintings I've ever seen? Like, I have these moments where I'm desensitized to them and I'm just like, yeah, that's a good one. And then I have these moments where I really stand in front of them and I'm almost moved to tears by how just beautiful they are. And I'm so proud of Jeremy, and I'm so excited for you all to come to the show and see the show. So definitely do it. Don't be out of town. I keep getting messages from people being like, oh, I'm going to be out of town. I'm like, no, stop being out of town. Be in town. You're in town. You're in. Get it? Remember that play? You're in town? I feel like people don't use those like plays on words enough. Like at that, do you remember when that, I don't know, that play probably came out in the 60s? You're in town. Am I making this up? This is a real play, right? I'm not going to Google it on my phone, but I'm pretty sure it's You're in Town, and it's URINE town. And I think those kind of plays on words are excellent. I tried to do a version of that myself, and just didn't hit as hard. So I mean, props to the person that wrote that, because You're in Town definitely doesn't hit as hard as You're in Shape, or You're in my way, those kind. I did try to float this one by someone, and they acted like they didn't even hear it when they said something about YouTube, and I tried to turn it into your tube. They didn't get it. I don't feel like you got it either. Honestly, just judging by the response that I'm imagining that you're having, I don't think you got it, but it was funny. Your tube? Why don't you shove it up your tube? It's like this thing isn't even on. Anyway, no, you're in town. You're not going to be out of town. You're going to be at Jeremy's show at Head High. And so am I. I'm going to be there to give you a fat slab of cake. I'm still working on the flavors. I talked to our dear friend Robert Pratt about this today. After he wowed everyone with his black olive shortbread cookie, I said, he's the one I should consult. We have a rough plan. I have a plan. I'm just still trying to tweak a couple of decisions. But I know one thing for sure. It's going to be a big ass cake. It's going to be like a how do we transport this cake kind of cake. Jeremy said someone's going to fall into it. That would be epic as well. But I don't know. I don't really know what the cake flavor. I haven't landed on the right one yet. I'm still puzzling. It's hard. I made a chocolate cake. Actually, it was like a chocolate espresso. The cake was in olive oil with yogurt and buttermilk and espresso. It's a really good cake. It's like if you were to make a box cake, but it was elevated. You're like, this is the best box cake I've ever had. It's made from scratch, but it has that unbelievable, impossibly moist taste where you're like, oh, this definitely is like not homemade, but it is. And it has coffee in it, hot coffee. It's got a really cool flavor profile. And kids and adults like it, which is important. Because sometimes you go to a kid's birthday party, and no disrespect if this is your vibe, but some people want to opt for like the giant Costco cake. And I'm like, I hear you. Listen, nothing hits like a grocery store cake in its time and place. But that's like for kids, you know, that's for like an army of kids whose teeth are going to end up a certain color. Whereas like when I go to a party, I really want the cake to be kind of geared towards me, a grown up. You know, even though I'll rock a funfetti, I don't even care. Honestly, like I'm like a rabid sweet tooth. Like I'll eat anything. I'll eat literally anything with sugar in it. I don't care. I like love sweets, but you know, if I have my choice, I'm like, if you play to an adult's senses and the kids love it, you've really struck something special. So that's what I tried to do. And I did kind of this chocolate buttercream cream cheese frosting. So it's got a little tang. It was great. It was a great cake. And if I hadn't just made that cake, I would probably make that cake again. But now I'm feeling something. I'm feeling something a little more grown up. Even more grown up than a chocolate cake. I found out that some kids don't like chocolate. At this party, I had at least 2 kids be like, "Oh, no thanks. I don't eat chocolate cake." And I was like, "Wow. Okay." I didn't know kids turn down any cake, but apparently they do, and I respect it, you know? That's fine. But yeah, the flavor will be a surprise. You'll have to come to the party/show to find out what the cake flavor is, but I can promise it'll be good. Other than that, I feel like I've been making a lot of soup, which some people are like, "Oh, cute, it's soup season," which it is. But I just want to say that I want to make a case for making soup year round. Because all I really have been doing is like showing people. Like, I feel like during the year, like the rest of the year, I kind of hide how much I eat soup because I don't want people to think that I'm like, you know, pre-nursing home. They're like, "Wow, Lindsay, does she have teeth? Like, why does she eat so much soup?" But I just love soup. So I'm always eating soup, mostly out of convenience for the one pot pickup situation. That's really what I'm after. And that's why I like soup, is because it's just all there and it all tastes good. And it's like, the time is what makes it taste good. I'm not talking about the herb. I'm talking about the time that you cook it and like melding the flavors. There's something really magical that just comes together with soup that doesn't exist outside of soup. Unless you're talking about a salad. And I'm talking about salads like potato salad or something like that, egg salad, where it's like the flavors have to meld and everything in there needs to spend time with the other one. Whereas if you're just making a regular dinner, it's kind of like, do these flavors go well together? Are they complementary? Then sure, put it on my plate. Or even not, because I feel like I can make something make sense. Even if you're like, this shit is so random, I'll make it make sense in my head. If you got a little sweet, you got a little salty, you got a little acid, you got a little heat, you got all the components, some salt, you'll be fine, no matter how random your shit is. But with soup, it's more of a symphony. It's like everybody's got to be kind of working together. And then once it's done, you kind of just have this beautiful symphony to eat whenever you want. And all you got to do is like put one thing on the stove and it's ready. My mom does give me shit though, because she'll be like, "You say it's just a soup is so easy, and then you garnish it with like 35 different things. And it's not at all the same soup that it was when it came out of the pot." But, you know, that's true. That's true. But it's soup season, and I've been just finally happy to feel like I fit in with the rest of the world, because I'm making soup year round. I make the same ones too. Although I did recently make a minestrone, and I was pretty excited about that. That's one I do save for the fall season. Usually I make minestrone on Halloween, because it's something that I leave on the stove. I work on it all day, and then we go trick-or-treating, and then we eat minestrone. But I went for it early. I had to. And I regret nothing. It's made me want to make more soups. Now I'm just like on a liquid diet, a liquid plus chunks diet, where it's like I got my vegetables, I got some broth, I got some savory flavors, I got some fiber. I got it all when I got a bowl of soup. But yeah, I don't really know what I've been doing other than that. I've just been like living on soup, trying to help Jeremy in any way that I can, which is not helpful. Like I go out to the studio and I just sit out there and just bother him. And I think he, you know, he likes it, but sometimes he'll just give me the wave when he can't handle my presence. But I don't know. I'll leave him little treats. I usually come bearing gifts. If I do interrupt him in the studio, I like to bring a snack. I like to bring like a buttered piece of toast with some salted and peppered cream cheese and some raspberry jam. Maybe a little coffee. Sometimes I get too hype and I'll just keep coming out there with like multiple beverages. I'm like, oh, you want a matcha? Oh, did you want a smoothie? Oh, would you like a green juice? Oh, you want a coffee? And he's just like got 15 cups out there. Just like, please leave me alone. But I miss him. I miss him right now. He's out there painting and I'm just in here talking to you guys about soup. But I think ultimately, you know, as the temperatures cool, people want to have these kind of comforting, long cooked, savory dishes. And so I'll probably just keep making those for the foreseeable future. I think Jeremy got some stew beef, so that's going to be on deck this weekend. A nice beef stew, carrots, red onions. Oh my God. Whatever the fuck else goes in there, potatoes. I keep it simple with the beef stew. I'll usually do Julia Child's beef bourguignon, and I really don't fuck with it. I mean, the recipe. Like, I do fuck with beef bourguignon, like, big time. But I don't mess with the recipe. I just make it exactly as she tells me. Because she's never wrong. She's the queen. And I hope you make something cozy for yourself. Even though, let's be honest, it's still kind of hot here in Charleston. Like, we got pumpkins and carved them for Julian's birthday party. And they have already, like, turned to raisins. Like, they're just curled up. Like, they're not going to make it till Halloween because it's just too hot. Like, I'm trying to get into the fall season. I'm trying to make the coffee switch from iced coffee to hot coffee, which is a short window for me because I'll drink iced coffee even in the middle of winter. But I prefer to have, you know, it needs to be like semi-cold outside for me to actually go for a cup of hot coffee. But yeah, I've been trying to make the switch to that. And it just still feels a little early. So I think that's why I'm an all-year soup girly, because if you wait around for it to actually be cold, you're never going to get to soup season, and soup season is so important. So I've just decided to make it year-round and reflect the temperature outside rather than try to contrast the temperature outside. You know what I mean? But I hope you make something cozy. I hope you braise a little something. And most of all, I hope you come to Jeremy's show. Not this weekend. Not Saturday, October 7th. Not that day. October 14th. I'm going to try to get him to come on the show. If you want him to come on the show, message him on his Instagram and tell him that. Because I keep asking him if he's going to come on the show before his own show, and he keeps saying no. Which is hurtful. But also I get it. He's like, I was already on the show. He's kind of like, I'm good. But I really want him to come on the show. So I think if we give him a little nudge, maybe he'll do it. If you want him to come on before his show next week and be my guest on F&B Radio on Friday the 13th, no less. Like, that feels like he's got to do it. So give him a little DM and tell him that you think he should come on F&B Radio. And wish him a happy birthday while you're at it. That's it. It's a shorty. It's, you know, sometimes it's just a shorty. It's just a little hi, how you doing? A little buongiorno. But I'm so happy to be back. You can rate and review the show. We talk about this at the end of every show. And some of you do it. And when you do, it means so much. But it makes a huge difference. So if you go on there and leave a review on Apple or Spotify, I would love it. I would just love that. It would mean so much. And I'll see you at the show. come get a piece of cake. Flavor TBD. Maybe it'll be soup flavored. Remember, who was I telling this to the other day where I was like, coffee notes, like coffee tasting notes, like one of the bad ones is where it's like vegetable soupy. You want your vegetable soup to taste like soup, but you don't want your coffee to taste like vegetable soup. Like that's like a diss. If somebody says, I'm getting kind of vegetable soupy vibes, it means your coffee's not good. It means your coffee's pedestrian, is what it means. So keep your soup, and keep your coffee, and I'll see you next week. Bye.